I can't believe I had a repressed memory. And now that she's, like, thinking about it, you know, she's like in the next scene, she meets up with Spinner, and she asks him about his earliest memory. And she's like, wow, I don't have any memories before I was 8. That's weird.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely just, like, a cycle. Like, she's allowed these memories to be repressed for so long, and she just never thought about it. It's like the NPR did this article once about, like, things you never questioned as a child. And it's just, like, this one girl thought unicorns were real, like, straight up real, and never questioned it until she was, like, around people. And she's like, so unicorns, right? Where are those fossils? And everyone was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
So once you do start that, like, process of, like, wait, that's weird, let me investigate, that's when, like, this whole...
Exactly.
Starts becoming unraveled.
So yeah, so then the next day, the next scene, she goes into the dot and she sees Spinner, and then she asks him, like, hey, what's your earliest memory? And then sweet little Spinner is like, I think I was 5. 4. And Jimmy was mad at me for not inviting him to my birthday party, and he didn't speak to me for a year.
So first of all, Jimmy and Spinner have been friends since they were 4.
And also Spinner's earliest memory is of Jimmy.
And that's super fucked up, Jimmy, a whole year.
You were 4.
I don't know any kid who's, like, able to keep something dedicatedly going for a fucking year. But also, his first words to Jane are, I'm so proud of you, dude.
I know. I also wrote down, I love how they call each other dude.
Make your relationship goals calling each other dude.
I kind of love it so much.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, dude is gender neutral.
Yeah, I mean, I say dude all of the time. Maybe it's because I'm from California, but I don't know.
Yeah, but then she's like, I can't remember anything before I was 8. And Spinner's like, that's
kind
of
of old. And she's like, yeah.
And then they make a joke about repressed memories.
Do they?
Yeah, I put hello repressed memories and jokes.
Oh no.
So it was like an offhanded, like, la la la.
Yeah.
Oh, and then, oh my god, the next scene has the most hilarious background music. So
we're still at the sleepover. Or I guess it isn't the next day because we're still at the sleepover.
It was actually, I guess she, like, went to the dot after dinner because she needed to piece the fuck out of that joint.
And then Danny's, like, doing a really weird, like, dance? I guess you can call it
Holland, please stick in this music right here, because remember the ice cream? Remember when Paige and Question Mark and Marco, they're all, like, having a fun time?
Yeah.
And, like, suddenly Degrassi turns into, like, a shitty teen comedy movie. It's like they tried to do that again, except worse.
It was just Danny dancing in front of everybody.
And everyone's clapping, like,
like, I told you I had crazy legs.
I'm like, you were moving your arms. Doing, like, a really bad robot.
So weird. And, like, picking up his, like doing, like, the weird, like, I'm picking this part up in my body and, like, it's moving, and it was weird.
The puppet dance. This arm's a real boy, ladies.
It was so weird. I wrote down, what is this dancing? And then
all the girls are wearing their bras on the outside of their shirt.
And then Mia gets a truth of, like, who's the most famous person that you met? She's like, I met Timbaland, and he told me that I had beautiful eyes. And then
Timbaland.
Oh, Timbaland. I like how that was the most famous person she'd met.
Oh, I mean, it's not like she met fucking Soulja Boy.
Soulja Boy, although this is still like 2 years after Soulja Boy. He would have been irrelevant by now, even here.
I mean, Jason Derulo?
Maybe. That What You Say song might have been out by now. Anyway.
Well, I mean, Leia
and then
wants to be cool girl.
Well, so then Danny is like, oh, it's Leia's turn. Just ask her the same question. They're like, who's the most famous person you've met? And she's like, and then she looks at, like, a newspaper and sees, like, a Fall Out Boy ad. And she's like, so my dad's a music producer. And And a Fall Out Boy. I basically grew up with Fall Out Boy. Like, Pete Wentz used to sing me lullabies to bed and, like...
plays guitar.
Yeah, and his guitar. And I was like, oh my god, she's lying really about being friends with Pete Wentz.
Because, like, Danny is like, ask her the same question as if he, like, knew what she was gonna say.
Yeah.
And, like, oh, I know she has a really good story about this. And then she's like, excuse me?
So weird.
And it's like...
Also... I'm pretty sure Fall Out Boy is not Canadian.
No, and it's like...
I know Patrick Stump is from, like, Chicago, but I don't know where anybody else is from, but I'm pretty sure they're not Canadian.
But that's so weird, because, like asking that to Mia kind of makes sense, because
she's a model.
But, like, it's not like every fucking Canadian 15-year-old has met a famous person.
Right?
So I'm sure Leia was like, am I supposed to know someone famous? Oh, God.
It is so weird. I feel like they didn't do a good enough... I feel like this should have been more from her point of view.
Yeah.
To show, like, the reasoning behind all of her weird lies.
We are very distanced from this.
Like, why she is saying all of these things. Like, I feel like she needed to have a friend to bounce things off of, like, oh my god, like... I'm nervous about going to this thing because they're all so cool and they all are like, and they've done so many cool things and I haven't ever done anything. Like, we needed some kind of internal monologue like that.
Followed her home and she could have talked to her mom and her mom could have been like, oh, you going to Bible study? Like, whatever makes her seem more of like a straight-laced loser or whatever. No offense to people who did Bible study or anything like that. It's like...
straight-laced loser in the eyes of, like, cool people.
You know, cool kids who have sleepovers. And play truth or dare with no alcohol. Stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So yeah, she's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm best friends with Pete Wentz, basically. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Basically, she's from a different, like, group. She had different interests, and then she started dating this guy, and now she's, like, really clearly nervous to be intermingling with these people she does not know.
She's just, like, trying to get them...
who play football, model, and watch Lost.
And they're also all in a secret band together. I guess it's not secret anymore, though.
The worst kept secret at Degrassi.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it's like she is trying to fit in with all of them because she thinks, like, they're all so cool and that she should be having stories that, like, measure up to theirs. But it's just, like... It's not executed very well because it just makes her look like a pathological liar.
Yeah, and Danny is so sweet and nice. He's like, I have no reason to distrust you. You're my girlfriend and I like you.
Yeah. Oh, he is such a sweetie.
But she's feeling so much pressure. Oh my god, my next note is Jay.
Jay! I know. So we're back at the dot and all of the alumni, like a couple of the alumni people are like, hanging out at the dot and planning the alumni football team. So Jay's going to play football. Oh, yeah, because Spinner's the captain of the alumni team. Which I'm like, we have never had football at this fucking school before, but all of a sudden we're all about football, and even Spinner's all about football, but he never played football.
Yeah, we were looking for comments. I mean, all right, okay. First of all, as far as we know, Spinner did play football.
That's true. It just maybe was never mentioned.
But when we were looking for comments, the first one was, guys, I can't believe they did football in more than one episode. I'm so proud of you guys.
So yeah, and Jay's gonna be like a running back or something, and Lucas is playing, and I think Liberty's gonna play.
Yeah, she's like, I'll play, and Spinner looks at her, and I have no idea what that look was, but let's go with impressed.
Yeah. And then
Jane is
very drunk. So it's after dinner, and Jane is getting drunk at the dot because she cannot deal. And then Lucas is like, or Spinner's like, oh, you're drunk. Let me take you home. And Lucas is like, I'll just walk her home. Like, we'll go home now. And I'm like, at least he's like being a nice brother and walking her home when she's drunk as fuck.
Yeah, Lucas, it's like every little thing he does has to be like shitting on Jane.
He's like, I guess I'll do this.
But like all of his actions make sense and aren't from a bad place.
Yeah.
Like he has clearly a huge affinity for his dad, and the separation really affected him. And as far as he's concerned, his sister had a great relationship with their father too, but now is suddenly terrible to him, his hero. So he's just like, my sister be fucking up. I don't understand. I don't want her to get hurt, so I'll walk her home.
Yeah. So then I think it's like the next morning, like Danny and...
No, it's late at night. All the girls are asleep.
Oh, everyone's asleep. I couldn't... Okay. And then Danny and Peter are talking, and Danny's like, it's so cool that she knows Pete Wentz. And Peter's like, yeah, she doesn't know him. She was definitely lying about that.
Here's where things get, like, Degrassi writers just trying to up the stakes a little, because instead of Peter being like, hey, I don't believe her, he just goes, hey, man, I'm just watching out for you. Like, what the fuck, watching it? It's not like she has drugs. Like, just because she lies about knowing a famous person doesn't automatically mean she's a bad person. But instead, it's like, and this has so little consequences as well.
Yeah.
But they're making it seem as if, like, I don't know, watch yourself, Danny. She seems like a real fucking wild person. Can't trust her.
It's like, because she told, like, a couple lies. But he knows she's lying about Fall Out Boy because he's like fucking Fall Out Boy historian. He's like, first of all, Pete Wentz plays the bass, not the guitar. And Danny's like, I mean, I'm sure he knows how to play the guitar too. And he's like, also, they didn't even release an album until like 2002. So what, was he singing her lullabies in like 5th grade or something? And Danny's like, I mean, why would she lie about something like that? He's still just like. Why? Like, I have no reason to distrust her. Yeah, she's telling me these things. I'm believing her.
It kind of just sounds like Peter's jealous.
Yeah, exactly.
I just put Peter's a skis ball.
And then Peter's like, well, if she is telling the truth, like, and he's like, well, too bad she's not friends with him because I want to go to that concert and it's totally sold out or something like that.
He's just like, well, if she is friends with them, then we can go to this concert. Nah. And Danny's like, fucking okay, Jesus.
It's dumb. But then we get home to Jane's house, and Lucas is like, I've brought you home now, and, like, gives 0 fucks. Because then because the mom and the dad are, like, drinking wine on the couch, and then the mom is like, is she drunk? And he's like, yeah. So it's, like, annoying, and then, like, walks away or something like that.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, this is when I go, why the fuck are 2 divorced people just real cool with each other?
If he left when Jane was 5, that was, like, over 10 years ago. Like, why are we reconnecting now? I don't get it.
I mean, I don't know what her mom has been through. Clearly a breakup.
Yeah,
recently.
Seriously. What happened to that guy?
Maybe, I don't know. But Jane's like, thanks for coming, Dad. Ultra sarcastic. Goes upstairs.
And then she, like, overhears her mom saying, like, she's usually not like this. I don't know why she's acting like this, or something like that.
And her dad's like, so, did she ever tell you why she hates me so much? I'm just curious.
Yeah,
her mom's like, it's probably the separation, like, you left.
Yeah, and she's like, I mean, you left when she was 5. That's bound to leave a scar, or something like that. I know, and he's, like, totally fishing. He's like, I mean, yeah, she's really mad at me. Did she ever, like, tell you why? And it's like, oh, it's so, I don't like it.
If she had told her why, you would not be
sitting
on the couch.
Here, you dumbass. Oh, I fucking hate him. So then the next day at school, Danny goes up to Leia and he's like, hey, like, my friends think you're really cool and they want to hang out again. And she's like, really? And she's really excited that like his friends like her. And he's like, yeah, oh, also, like, could you get us tickets to this Fall Out Boy show? I mean, like, you're, like, tight with Pete, right? And she's like, yeah, you're gonna totally, like, get your rock socks on, because I could totally get tickets. She says something dumb like that.
Yeah, she's like, tell your friends to put the rock socks on. And I'm like, you can tell Leia really doesn't know what she's talking about, because you're meant to rock your socks off. What a
Leia.
jump.
But then we're with Jane again, and
she's in Mr. Simpson's class, but she's like really out of it.
Yeah, and he's like, what's wrong? She's like, I'm really dizzy. I need to go to the nurse. And she goes to the nurse, and then she's just lying on the cot crying, and it's like, she's like knows something is wrong, and like she hasn't quite remembered yet, but she's kind of starting to, and it's really sad.
The bell has been rung, essentially. She's like, I don't know, it's people with PTSD, it's like, well, this is like the case, like cookie cutter case of what being triggered meant.
Yeah.
Like, she hears the word like pajamas in context with her dad, and then like her brain is like forced up this image. And even though she doesn't like the feelings that are accompanying this image, she also doesn't know what it means. So she keeps thinking about it more and more and more, and it's just causing deep hurt.
Yeah.
She goes to the nurse's office where there's a weird cot in the middle of the room and just starts crying, and it's really, really